Hello everyone and welcome! Today I have something super exciting to share with you. As many of you know, it was one of my goals to finish this coloring book by the end of this year, and I ended up finishing it. So I wanted to give you a flip through where I walked through every single picture, and I'll also post a flip through of just the pictures with no talking, but let's just get right in. I didn't color this one because this is repeated, so that's why, but oops. Okay, so here we have the author page and then the nameplate page. These I was this close to not coloring, but decided to color them in because they were quite beautiful, and my OCD wouldn't let me call it a completed coloring book unless I did these pages here too. And these I used Prismacolors for the main elements, and then I just did a really quick watercolor wash in the background before coloring everything in, and I just kept it pretty simple. Okay, and then this page is just copyright information, a note from the artist, and I just did watercolor in here and just felt like it was okay to leave this a little bit more incomplete. Okay, so here is the first picture. Oh, also, this might be a little bit out of order. I tried to make sure to keep the pages in the same spot, but if you can see, the book fell apart, and it started falling apart after I'd done several pictures in it, so that was kind of disappointing. But this is one of the earlier pictures that I did in here. I used budget pencils. I also did watercolor on the leaves, and then I think the bird I did with polychromos, but I could have used Prismas. I can't quite remember, but this was really fun and simple to do, except for all of this foliage. That was the hardest part for me to get through. So yeah, that's the first page. And then here we have my first attempt at doing something that was metallic. I was trying to make this Skollic chrome, and I think I did a pretty good job with that. And then to kind of keep the same jewel theme, I used jewel tones in the butterflies, and I believe I used just polychromos on here. And I tried to add a 3D effect with the shadows under the butterflies and the skull right here. Okay, so this is one that I completed this month, and it was just kind of a quick one. I was super tempted, and you can kind of see I was inspired by the Castle of Hyrule in Zelda, in the Breath of the Wild game, but I had a lot of fun just experimenting with color with ink tints with these clouds. I used purple and then I think the lime green or something like that. I was hoping for more of an intense green for the background, but I think it's still turned out really good. Here's another one that I completed this month. This one I was super intimidated by because of the metal swords and also all of the tree branches. So I tried to keep it simple with the tree branches. I added a little bit of shading, but I really wanted to focus on the swords. Let's see, I did a watercolor wash with this, what is it? The Albrecht Dürer pencil with the Bistre color. And then I went over with polychromos with a redder brown. And then I had a lot of fun doing these swords. I just used a normal gray for the silver swords, and then these are the colors that I used for the golden ones. So I used polychromos. I used 175, 182, and 184. And so far that's one of my favorite gold combinations. I do want to try some other ones, make up some other ones to see, because different gold shines differently. Okay, this one was really fun to do. I also did this one this month, and I used watercolor for the background, for the hat, and for the cat, and then the rest I used polychromos. So for all the kind of brassy, and the silver was polychromos. And I posted this one on my Instagram, and it like became one of my most liked pictures on there, which I've never even gotten to 100 likes before, and now this has over 100, so that was kind of an unexpected thing that happened. But this one was really fun to do. At first I was not very inspired, and then I did the watercolor wash on the background, and immediately was just excited to finish it. And I noticed that for myself is if I do the background first with just like a quick basic color, the watercolor wash, it helped me be able to envision what I wanted to do with the picture. And I have some theories on that. Okay, here's another one that I did this month. And this one was one of the next to last ones that I did. And I was really scared to do this one because there's all of these metal gears in the background. And I've seen some very beautiful colorings of this one where every gear is rendered nicely, and so I was imagining to myself that I had to render every single mechanical part individually, but then decided to kind of follow the artistic rule where you see it's the oh my goodness, I just forgot, 550. It's the 555 rule or something like that. Oh my goodness, I just forgot what it was. But essentially it is, you see the focal point, and then the closer that you look at it, the more detail you can see. So obviously I wanted this mechanical dragon to be the focal point. So what I did first was I did a gray wash, because I didn't want this to be shiny because this was going to be shiny, so I wanted contrast. So I did a gray wash and then went over with a darker gray to make it seem like they were steel, rather than something shiny. And that, I think, gave it more of an industrial feel. And then I decided I wanted to do this guy copper. Originally I was going to do gold, but then I thought copper would be really, really fun to try. And I did write down the combination. I used polychromos number 192, 188, and 109. And I think that was the perfect combination. And this ended up being also really, really fun to do. So watercolor wash, and then everything else was Prismacolor, and I really like it. So one thing that I noticed about working in the same book for just 1 month and trying to finish it is I pushed myself to do things that normally I wouldn't. Like, this was not on my top list of ones I wanted to do, but once I actually pushed myself to do it, it actually became one of my favorites. So this one is another one that I did this month. I used the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, and just those, I believe. This was really fun to do with the bright colors. Yeah, and I really like the water. Maybe I did this last month. I can't remember. I did so many this month, I can't remember which ones I did which month. But I think I did this one this month. This was really fun to do. Here is one that, this was I think the second one that I did in this book. It was around Halloween last year. And I was really happy with the colors that I chose, the green and the purple. And then you can't see the glitter as well anymore. I think a lot of it rubbed off, but I did use the glitter gel pen on the wings to give it a shimmery effect. Okay, so this is the last one that I did in this book. And this was really fun because I wanted to do these bright, vibrant flowers and then have this clock kind of faded a little bit to kind of show this contrast with something that's fresh and alive and then something that's more dilapidated and rusty and old. So yeah, so this is supposed to be a rusty clock. I wish I would have chosen a less saturated, lighter color for the green, but I still think it turned out really neat. For this, I used alcohol marker, so that's one advantage of having his book, this one, because you can use alcohol markers. So I used alcohol markers for the background and the clock, and then for the rust on the clock, I used a Prismacolor, and the flowers were also Prismacolors. So yeah, I think this one is really pretty and vibrant. Okay, so this one is a little more simple. I also did this one this month. I did a watercolor background, and that was really fun. I originally did these orange splotches, and it didn't really interact on the paper that I liked, so I quickly did a purple wash over the top, and that helped fade it away because it was pretty bad looking. And then I went over with, on the web, spider web, I went over with this pen touch, which I really like. I have gotten the Posca pen before, and this is very similar to it, but it's got a different kind of point. And to me, this works a lot better for me than the Posca. I couldn't really get the Posca to work very well. So if you're like me and you can't get the Posca to work, I would recommend the pen touch. So once I did the spider web, I just felt like it felt finished. I don't know. It just seemed like if I added anything else, it would not work. So I decided to stop it right there. Okay, here is one that I really love. This is when I first got my ink tints and I was experimenting with them. So the background is ink tints, and this tree guy is ink tints, and then the rest are polychromos. But it was really fun to experiment with the ink tints and then using other mediums alongside it. And I did want to mention, for him, I found that using a light brown, and then when you want to do your deeper shadows with the ink tints, I really liked using the purple, one of the purples, and then fading that out, and I think that gave it a nice deep kind of shadow. Okay, I think this is the very first picture that I did in this book. It's all just Prismacolor, and I really, really like the color combination that I used. It does remind me quite a bit of the kind of 60s, 70s, where it's all brown and more neutral colors. But yes, I'm very happy with the colors, and it's really smooth. Prismacolors works really well on this paper, in my opinion, but yeah, I just really love how this one turned out. Okay, so this is another one that I did this month, and this was when I realized I could try using alcohol markers, so you can see that on the background. So all of the hourglass is alcohol marker, and I had a lot of fun doing the kind of ivory gold kind of color on the main body of the hourglass, and these roses were super fun to do. And then for the background, I was kind of unsure what to do, so I decided to play with some ink that I have. I used this all the time when I was in college, and I just wet the whole background area, and it drops of ink, and then I used my mop brush, which I'll try to show you, this mop brush, and I went over it to kind of help smooth it, and I think it created this really cool kind of smoky effect, but it was kind of hard to control where the ink went, because you can see in some places it got on the hourglass, but I still think it turned out really cool. This is one that I did last month with Arteza pens and I think ink tints and polychromos. This one isn't my favorite in this book that I've done, but it was still fun to do. Okay, this is another one that I did this month, and this was really, really fun to do. I used my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils for a lot of the peacock's body, and I don't know if you can see, but there's some glitter gel pen in some parts of the peacock as well. And then I did a watercolor wash on the background and wrote down "Why blend in when you were born to stand out" over and over and over, to kind of add to the parchment feel that the background had. And I think this one turned out really cool. Okay, this one was really fun to do. I used acrylic paint for the background, and I'm pretty sure this is Prismacolor pencil for everything else. And this was super fun and fast to do, and I love the bright popping colors. Okay, this is another one that I did fairly recently with the black roses and then this crown. I really like the red background, but it is a little scratchy looking. But this was super fun to do, to practice doing like the brassy kind of gold. Okay, this one, I love this one. This is another that I did this month. And I was not sure what in the world I was gonna do, because there were all these beetles, and I was kind of trying to figure out what kind of pattern I wanted to do. How did I want to draw the color of the beetles? Did I want to make each part of the rainbow or something? And then I decided, okay, I'm just gonna paint the background, because that's worked for me in the past. Because I just have this fear of a blank coloring page, I think. So I did like this wash of some watercolor that I had on my palette, and immediately I knew what I wanted to do. It was just so funny. So I added shadows and decided to make these jewel bugs. Originally I was gonna try to make them, normal looking beetles, but decided to do jewels. So I did gold, like the brassy gold, and then decided to do the bigger bugs 3 different jewel colors, and then the smaller bugs are more of like kind of an opal gem, I would say. And then decided to just make all of the loose jewels the same color, just to help make it cohesive. And I just love looking at it. It's just so fun to look at. And also I was intimidated by the jewels because I haven't really done them in the past, but I think they turned out really well. And I'm wanting to do a metal tutorial for like the copper and the gold and the silver, so if that's something you would be interested in, be sure to let me know because I would love to do that. So yeah, this one was really fun to do. And then this is another one that I did this month. This was the last picture. I decided to use alcohol markers for the background, and also I think I just used them for the background, and then I used my Albrecht watercolors for the base, and then went back over with the polychromos for the shadows. So it's really simple, but I think it turned out really pretty. And that is the last picture, and I can't believe that I actually met my goal ahead of schedule, and it's really quite accomplishing and exciting to have actually finished a coloring book. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you were inspired and enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Happy coloring!